For one last step to prepare us if we do get the opportunity to laser cut, you have to take one initial step in order to prepare for the laser cutting, and that is set up the lines that you're going to use to laser cut with. And so what we're going to do is let's create two layers. One of these layers we're going to make red, and the other layer we're going to make blue. And let's use red and blue literally. Don't use dark blue. Let's use the true blue. And I'm going to select the red layer and I'm going to call it cut. And I'm going to select the blue layer and I'm going to call it score. So now in top view I'm going to take my unrolled surface and I'm going to duplicate the border. So the command is Doop Border, D-U-P, and then border. And you'll see, if you're on the cut layer, that it'll send those lines directly to the cut layer, and you'll see that it outlined the profile. And it also outlined every cut split that was within it, right? Sure, I could do it again. So all I have right now is just my unrolled surface, right? And actually this one is the wrong direction. You can see that I had to rotate it and mirror. Actually I had to mirror it in order for it to work. And so I'm actually going to use the version that's the correct directionality, which is this one. So I'm going to copy that one to here. So this is the one that it unrolled initially, right? I had to mirror it in the right direction here, like that, in order to get it to be correct. So that way when I folded it back up together, it folded correctly. So every time you unroll a surface, you should make sure that it's not the wrong direction and make sure to mirror it if you need to. So I'm going to use the actual one, which is this one here. I'm going to select my cut layer and I'm going to do the command. It's called Doop Border, and what it's doing is it's duplicating the border. Let's see if the help menu will explain to us here in a really simple way. So when you do this, it's going to take any kind of surface and it's going to create a line profile around the entire edge. And subsequently, if you have any splits inside of it, it's also going to trace those lines as well. So I'm going to go ahead and select this object. First thing I'm going to do is join all this together. Now I'm going to duplicate the border. So make sure to join it first so it's one shape. And when I go Doop Border, you can see it automatically draws all that information for you. And if I turn off my green layer here, you can see that's all it's given me. So it's given me the outline of the profile all together, and it's also giving me the outline of every single split that I had in my pattern. Now I'm just going to go back a second, and if this was exploded and I did Doop Border, I'll show you the result. You'll see it's now made each one of these its own individual surface, right? Now this could be good if we wanted all these pieces to be individual, but the one thing to note is that this has a line here, and then this one also is going to share a line as well. And so in the case of laser cutting, that's actually not as useful for us because we don't want everything to be cut. We want some stuff to be scored, which is essentially doing a very light cut that won't cut all the way through the material. So that way it gives us the ability to bend our material. So I'm just going to join them all back together again. And I'm going to duplicate the border. And so now that's all duplicated. And now the next thing we need to do is we need to draw in our scores. So our score lines are going to be essentially wherever we've rotated 3D, wherever there's a fold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to manually go in and draw these. And I'm going to go from here to there, from endpoint to endpoint, and then from endpoint to endpoint, And I'm going to go ahead and do that on every single spot where we rotated three-dimensionally. And then now that that's taken care of, I can actually turn off my surface. And now we'll see that this score line is actually going through some of our objects here, right? And so the way to clean that up is to trim. So I'm going to type the trim command. I'm going to select cutting objects, which is going to be anything that crosses over that line. And I'm going to hit enter, and now I'm going to just go ahead and trim the blue away. And let's not worry about that. So now all I have is red and blue. And this is essentially set us up for our laser cut file. So when we put this into this file into the laser cutter and tell the laser cutter what to cut and what to score, it's going to cut the red and it's going to score the blue. And I will stop the video here and I'll explain what scoring is, just in case you're not familiar with it.